So go ahead and fill me in on everything. Just tell me what you think I should know.
Sure.
And yeah, we'll go from there.
Awesome. So this is Yogi. He's a little about like 10 months old. And I got him at, he's already starting to growl because I think he sees things. Yogi, it's okay. That's a good boy. I got him at 8 weeks, and he is definitely a pandemic dog. So obviously, like, we weren't doing a lot of going out and whatnot. And overall, he's a pretty good dog. If it weren't for this one thing, I honestly wouldn't even seek treatment, and that's basically stranger danger. Like, I feel like now that we've been going on walks more, particularly with other dogs, he gets I think it stems from fear. And so then he tends to like want to lunge and like kind of nip at the other dog, barking a little bit. I've seen it a little bit with little children that walk by too. And so obviously, I want to eventually be able to take them places, maybe even a dog park at some point. And I want to kind of get that nipped in the bud basically before it can get too bad.
Okay. Anything else I should know about Yogi?
No, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I mean, so we have like 5 people in our family. He's very like elderly but no kids. He's very friendly with. We have another dog, like not me. My brother has a dog, and he's super friendly with they've known each other forever, and they're great together. So really, it's just this like, I guess if you want, I'm diagnosing it, but like leash anxiety or whatnot, or leash reactivity is what I think it is for the most part. Certainly if people come into the home too, like if I have a handyman come in, he'll get like a little, like he'll get very barky and angry too. So it's basically strangers. And I think what worries me is, he's a small dog, and if he like tries to nip a bigger dog or something because he's scared, he's going to get attacked and essentially hurt more. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's worrying me more.
Okay. Has he ever bitten anyone or a dog, or has he ever gotten to that point?
No, I mean, so I think like there've been close encounters where they're like, I don't see it because it's so close, but where they've like 2 dogs, him and like my neighbor's dog, kind of like nipped at each other, but no actual like injury or anything like that to either of them.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's the main thing. I mean, that's really the worrisome thing, is just, I don't want him to get injured. I don't want him to injure anyone else during these kind of behaviors. Okay.
And then when did this start?
I started noticing it essentially when I started taking him out for a walk more, which is what the weather started, maybe like the last 2 months, 2-3 months. Once it started getting warmer, that's when I started taking him out on walks. And then that's when he started seeing like all these dogs. And I noticed he like tries to kind of like lunge at them, and kind of like there was a dog beyond a fence, and we were walking by the fence, and he like just kind of tried to like lunge at the dog's face, So it's really been like the last 2 months, but then prior to that, we were kind of homebound. So not really a lot of interaction there.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much it.
So leash reactivity, and then strangers in the home. Usually he'll just keep barking at them.
I mean, eventually I can calm him down with the like strangers in the home. Like I'll give him like a treat that he really likes and distract him a little bit. And then he like warms up. And I think that piece of it is not as, I think that one's controllable somewhat, but I think when we're out and there's other dogs, I think that's what is harder.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And then have you owned a dog before? Is this your first dog?
I did when I was younger. We had one in the house. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of dog was that?
That was a Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu. Oh, okay. A little one.
Yeah. All little ones, except my brother has a Samoyed who he gets along with very well. They're like best buds.
Okay, nice. They play well and everything.
They play very well together. They're like shadows of each, or he's like a shadow. It's like a little big sister type of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they're both. I bet they're both white too, right?
They're both white. She's just actually today's her birthday. She turned 3. So relatively young too.
Okay. What else?
Do you need him at all? I was gonna let him down. I don't know if you need to see anything.
Yeah, you're fine. We don't. It's
Okay.
good. How much does he weigh?
He is about 25 pounds.
Okay. Okay. Anything else about Yogi?
Not really. That's the big one that's kind of worrisome. I mean, since we're talking, like, there's little things like when he greets people, he gets like very jumpy in an excited way, which we're trying to like ignore, and it's getting a little better. But that's very, I mean, to be honest, I think that's going to go away. It's already kind of getting better. So that's about it, I think.
Okay. And he pretty much barks at everything, right? You said?
So it's interesting, it's not like, for example, today we went on a long walk, and sometimes there'll be a dog barking directly at him and he won't react. But other times, and it's not even a distance thing, like it's just kind of hit or miss. Other times there'll be like a dog across the street that he gets like really kind of like excited about. So it's not every like single time, but I've never tried it like my way around it so far is I just like move them away. Like I just go the opposite way, or I go across the street, or that kind of thing. But at some point, if we do ever want to go to a dog park or something, like they will be close, and I'm just like scared for that encounter. Like I don't even want to touch that yet. You know what I mean? It's just the consistency. Like sometimes he could be fine, and other times he gets really like worked up. He's become a pretty decent walker. But then, for example, if we walk with the other dog, he gets really excited, and it's like he forgets everything, like he like doesn't follow any rules anymore. He pulls a lot more. So I think just kind of working on following the rules or whatnot, like in an exciting or stimulating setting. Like if it's just me and him, he's like pretty chill. But then there are scenarios where even that can be like a little too much.
Okay. And what do you walk Yogi on?
What do you mean? Like what does he wear? Like a harness?
Harness, long, flat collar, or if you have a
harness. It's a harness, yeah.
Cool. And if you were to have everything you'd want with Yogi, what would like an everyday like life look like for Yogi? Like, is it just you want to walk him, and then you want to take him to the dog park, and like you need recall, to bring him out of the dog park, or do you take him to like you want to take him to like a patio and like have him just lay down next to you and relax, or do you see yourself going on often a lot of like off leash hikes, or you want to take him hiking, or how does your lifestyle look if you were to have everything you'd
Well, I think that's also like a difficult question to answer in the pandemic, but pre-pandemic, like I do hike and stuff. So it would be nice to eventually get him to a point where he would be, I mean, if you're asking me like ideal, I would love to like be able to like walk with him off leash and just like have him next to me and that kind of thing. On hikes, even longer hikes or whatnot, like if you were to kind of really paint the ideal. But nowadays I don't even do any of that anymore. So really, I think that these days it's more just, I mean, similar thing, like maybe get to a point where I could even like trust him off leash on like just local walks or whatever around the block or around the neighborhood. I would, for his own sake, to get more socialization, love to take him to like dog parks and things comfortably without, again, his safety and other dogs' safety being, compromised or whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just asking just to kind of get an idea of like
Sure.
what program would be good for you, and because we don't want to give you, too many fancy commands, or you're like, oh, I wouldn't really use that in my everyday life.
Right, right. I think for the most part, like I said, like the whole hiking thing, that's, I mean, I don't, if I didn't have that piece of it, I would be fine. That's kind of like above and beyond, I guess, because I don't even know when I'm gonna go hiking again.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'm assuming you did research on us and like how we train, what tools we use, and everything like that. So you're aware that we use e-collar, prong collars, for puppies, food there and everything like that, and you're aware of those things.
What was the last thing you said?
Just like for puppies, we use food for them, and
Oh, I see. Got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
so with these tools we use, prong collar and e-collar, we get a lot of success from them. So like the harness, well, first Yogi, it just sounds like a lot. It sounds like overstimulation. He's getting thrown into a walk so like a little later in his life that he's like, whoa, what's all this, right? And then
Right,
he's a
for
little
sure.
and he sees a dog, he's barking, like the dog right here. So what's that? I'm gonna bark at you back and everything like that. Overstimulation is like when they can't focus, like they don't have a job, and then they're constantly pulling, or they're reactive, or things like that. And like another common thing would be like, I go for an hour walk, I come home, and like Yogi is still has energy, he's zooming around, he still has some
Yep, he does that.
yeah.
He does
So
that.
yeah, those are symptoms and like what overstimulation looks like. Overstimulation is very common in a lot of dogs. We get a lot of overstimulated dogs um, with, as through our consultations and just clients in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the training tools and everything, and why we use the method that we use is because of the success rate. Harnesses are meant for pulling. So like you'll see like not commercials or advertisements of like a no pull harness. It's there's no such thing.
It's like an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly. So like they're used for huskies to pull the sled. Harnesses are also used in protection training to create frustration, because dogs have opposition reflex. If you pull back, they pull forward. If you pull left, they pull right. If you pull right, they pull left. So in protection training, a handler will have the dog on a harness, and then the aggressor is across from them. The handler will pull and release, pull and release. So the dog wants to go forward, and they pull them back, and then they let them go forward, and then they pull them back, and then let them go forward. And it gets annoying because this pressure here on the chest is like annoying. It's like negative pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So the more they get of this, the more annoyed, and like they're starting to relate to this frustration and annoyance with seeing the person. Every time I see this dog, every time I see people, I get this pressure here. I don't like it, and I get annoyed with that dog because every time I see that dog, it happens, right?
I see.
So that's why we don't recommend harnesses for dog owners, because they can create frustration. Frustration leads to reactivity, and then reactivity can sometimes escalate to real aggression, right? Um, and I think that's rare to lead to like the aggression part, but it's also good that you're reaching out, while he's still young and like 10 months.
Sure.
And then after harness, sometimes owners are like, yeah, then we try the prong collar and it still doesn't work. So prong collar is a good step forward because it's now allowing you to correct your dog. So harnesses you can't correct. There's no way
I
to
see.
address to give consequence for behaviors. Prong collar. Do you know what a prong collar is?
I think so. It has like these plastic kind of like little, I guess, prongs
Yeah.
around them that kind of like dig in a little bit.
Yes. So it's supposed to mimic a dog bite. So like if you
I
pull
see.
on it, it closes, and then if you like if like let's say he were to lunge, he hit the prong, and then when he hits the end of the leash, it goes pop. He's like, whoa, what was that? So it's like
Uh,
physical, right? Dogs are physical animals, so that's why a lot of owners get some success with it because it's physicality, right? Some cons is once you take that leash off, now you've lost control. If you had control with the prong, right? Another con would be maybe Yogi is so engaged in something else that you can give your strongest correction, right? Maybe your strongest correction is like a 7 out of 10. One day Yogi, or maybe Yogi is always at an 8 when he's reactive. You're never going to override the brain and have him completely disengage if you're never going to reach an 8 with the prong, right? So an example Jesse will use is he has a Chihuahua, and like I think when he started off with prong collar training with him, um, his name's Poncho. Poncho would get reactive with dogs, and then Jesse would give him a leash pop, and then it'd be like he would give him his harshest leash pop on a Chihuahua. The Poncho would do like 3 spins because of that harsh correction, and then go straight back to barking. Like he didn't care. And he was like, owners would be like, "What are you doing to your dog?" And then he's like, "He's still barking at you. He doesn't even care that I'm doing this." Right?
Yeah.
That's another con with it. Sometimes you can't override the brain with prong. So then that leads us to e-collar. E-collar, again, is physical. It gets us, 90 to 100% reliable obedience. Prong collar is more like 50, 60. Again, if you take the leash off, you lose all control. Gentle leader is the one that goes around the muzzle and then.
Oh, right.
So that's good for puppies to avoid collapsing the trachea and just to have more head control right here. So if they pull, they do this, but that's still not a correction. It's just like forcing them to do this.
To look at you kind of almost, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So what do you know about electronic collars?
I mean, not much, I guess. Please fill me in.
So have you ever been to a physical therapist?
Yeah.
Have you ever had, I think it's just called like the a TENS unit or the muscle?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like the little, like it moves the muscles or whatnot.
But that technology is the same thing that's on the e-collars, right?
I see.
Jesse likes to call e-collars electric, but not electricity. So it's not flowing through Yogi's body. It's like
right.
It's the collar, little box, and there's 2 contact points, and these contact points are placed on the dog's neck, and all it does is contract the muscle, right? So our e-collars have the brand we use called Dogtra. They're waterproof, and these collars have 127 levels, so 0 to 127, right? So there's other e-collars out there that have like, let's say like maybe like 10 or 15 levels, right? Think of 10 or 15, the maximum on their collar. The power behind that number is equal to our 127. So we just have 117 more breaks to be more specific to the dog breed, personality, the situation at hand, issues you'd run into with like the cheaper, low 10 level e-collars is like a 5 would make Yogi yelp. We don't want our dogs yelping, so let's go to a 4. 4, he doesn't listen, he doesn't even feel it. So then it's like, what do you do there? For us, it's 50 is too much for Yogi, and then 40 is too little, then we can go 40, 45, right?
Got it.
They're waterproof, they're rechargeable, they remain charged for a very long time. Like I said, they're physical, so dogs are physical animals. If Yogi was in the dog park, or maybe he was playing with your friend's dog, and let's say your friend's dog accidentally like bit him a little too hard or something like that, Yogi would probably bite him back, say, "Hey, you did that too hard. Don't do that." And maybe the small is like, "Okay, I'm sorry." Maybe they'll back down, right? So it's physicality. There's always consequence for actions. So you'll look up videos of like, dogs, correcting other dogs, like trainers putting a dog that needs to be socialized with a group of dogs, and like the dog will correct the dog. So it's just consequence for further actions. Dogs don't say, "Hey, no, don't do that. No,
Yeah.
you're going to do that. You're going to get this," right?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is I don't know if this is a phenomenon that exists, but like, is it possible at all that like our other dog is just too gentle? Like, because I just always thought because they hang out together and she's older, she's going to maybe teach him a little bit of this like correction, because if he like acts a fool, like she'll correct him, But I mean, she kind of does, but he like I don't think he's scared of her in the least. Like, I don't, and so I don't know if that's just like familiarity or what, but I don't know. I thought that she would help him with some of this, but it just didn't happen so much.
Yeah, so it could be a few things. Maybe Yogi has known this dog for a long time.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Samoyed could, like you said, just be a happy-go-lucky dog. He doesn't care, whatever,
Right. Yeah, I guess so. That must be it.
All dogs are different. So it's another example is like children. A family could have their dog and they let their children do whatever they want to the dog. The dog's like the typical like happy-go-lucky Labrador. Just like the kids are pulling on the ears. Dog doesn't care. He's like, yeah, I like kids. They're whatever. Then the kid goes to like the friend's house and they see their dog and like, oh, I see a dog, and they're gonna practice what they've been practicing with their dog. So they go ahead and try something, and this dog could be different. This dog's like, whoa, you're pulling on my ear, bam, and then like there's like horror stories of like dogs correcting kids and like getting bit in the face and stuff like that. So
yeah, sure.
It's like similar like that. It's like the human perspective, it's always different with dogs. Some dogs overcorrect where it's because a stable dog would give one correction. That's all they need. Sometimes dogs go overboard and they just keep going. They don't stop, and it just turns into a mess. And there's a lot of other variables of with that stuff, right? But yeah, it just sounds like they've known each other for a long time. There's no conflict. They're both just enjoying each other's time. So that's
yeah.
Any questions so far?
So far makes sense.
How econ would help Yogi in this situation is we would teach him like a walking command. It's called heel. Heel, our version of a loose leash walk, and heel is walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So if you take 5 steps with Yogi, Yogi takes 5 steps. If you take 10 steps, Yogi takes 10 steps. If you come to a stop, Yogi's to automatically sit next to you without any words said. This is all done with a slack leash, no tension in any environment, and his right shoulder will be glued to your left leg or right leg, depending on where you walk Yogi at the moment. It will be glued to your leg and should not leave. The idea, although that's like obedience, in some clients are like, why would I need a fancy little walk to help my dog's reactivity, right? So it's the psychology and like the idea behind the heel, because we're trying to make Yogi so focused on what you're doing that he doesn't care about anything else. But like, I need to focus on mom. If I mess up, then I'm gonna get corrected, or if I do something, I'm gonna get corrected. So I need to focus, right? So that's like the idea behind heel. We're first class is just teaching Yogi how e-collar works, how to turn it on, how to turn it off. He's the one in control of it. He's never going to know that you're the one pressing the button. So only questions like, will my dog hate me because I'm shocking them? Like, no, Yogi's going to think it's like the universe pressing this feeling, right? He's never going to see you because there's nothing connected to you, right?
Right.
Long haul is confrontational because there's a leash connected to you and you're physically doing something and he's seeing it, right? He's like, you're doing that to me, right? So sometimes when owners or trainers correct fear, when a dog is scared of something and they correct the dog with prong, and they're looking at this like, I'm scared, you're correcting me, I should be scared because I'm getting this. It's a lot of confusion, and it doesn't. So e-collar will get rid of all that conflict. There's no argument. It's very healthy. It's a confidence booster for dogs. It's their language, so that's why they learn so fast in like 2 sessions and everything like that.
Yeah. He's a pretty quick learner too. Like usually if I try to teach him like a command or something, like he picks it up pretty quickly. So I'm hoping it won't be too bad. Now, are your, so these like sessions, like, are they like with me involved? Is it like, how does or maybe you'll get to that, eventually. Cause I think one of the things is I actually had another consult with also like a Chicago kind of training crew. And I think one of my things is a lot of what they were offering was just kind of like leaving him there for a month or like, and I don't know. I mean, he already has all this like anxiety. Like the last thing I want to do is like just dump him somewhere for like a month and not know really what's going on. And so I was kind of trying to see if, and I honestly want to learn too, you know, like how it is to handle him and whatnot. So I was wondering kind of like what these are sessions are kind of containing or doing.
Yeah. So we have a few programs. We have like, you know, the board and train, daycare and train, where you know, board and train, you leave your dog here for like a week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week. Daycare and train, where you drop off your dog in the morning, you pick them up at the end of the day, and then in person, where it's like the one-on-one. You know, we meet at Oz Park. Do you know where Oz Park is at?
Sure, yeah.
The busiest park in Chicago. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you can train your dog at Oz Park than anywhere.
You're set.
So we do in person. In person's available. If it looks like, so the reason why I asked like what you're wanting is to know what program for you.
Of course, yeah.
I'll run through the program. So in person is an hour a class for however many weeks. So like one class a week for an hour.
Okay.
The 6 week program, since we're dealing with leash reactivity, we might need the 6 or 9 week, depending on what else you want, or the 12. So 6 week, think of 6 week program as like I walk my dog, you know, I take my dog for a walk, I go to the dog park, and then I need recall, and then we leave, and then we go for another walk and then go home.
Got
9
it.
is you do all those things, and then you also go to restaurants, patios. Maybe you want to bring him to work, or you need him to lay down and stay still for, you know, when you're done working. Just more stationary control. And then the
Sure.
12 week is everything. You're doing long leash work. You do long leash work as well in the 9 week, but you do more long leash work. It's more nuanced. We give you more like emergency commands. If he's, you know, if you want to take him off leash, you know, if he's across the street, you can't do recall because he's going to cross a busy street. So then we give you commands to kind of make him stay there. Once it goes clear, then do recall or go to him, right? So those are how like the programs work. The 12 week is more for like the off leash hiking stuff.
I got you. And those are, when you say 12 weeks, that's essentially like 12 days, right? Because they're like each like 1 hour or whatever. Okay, got it.
Um, let's say you chose the 9 week, you would get Sunday 1 p.m. examples. Sunday at 1 p.m. of you get 9 Sundays at 1 plus 1. So you have a
I see.
1 just in case, you know, because life happens. Something is, you know, something will happen, you know, here and there. So you have another slot in case you need to, you know, go out of town, or if it's an emergency, or if you know, something happens, you have another slot. No one can take that away from you. Once you have used that slot, you have to kind of wait again to see if there's availability on my calendar or Jesse's calendar, whoever you decide to go with.
So it's like 9 consecutive weeks or essentially. Okay, yeah.
Pros and cons. Pros, you're doing everything yourself. It's a verbal coaching. We never touch the dog. Obviously, we'll step in if we need to, but usually, like, we haven't done that. Haven't done it in a while, unless like we need it. Because it's also hard because sometimes clients can't. They don't know what they're looking for, like what it should look like. So then we'll step in like, this is how it should look, blah blah blah. But you're doing everything from the ground up. You're learning how to troubleshoot. You're learning how to address his reactivity. If like another dog blows up on him, like what's gonna happen in that situation? How are you gonna handle it? And we'll coach you through it. Cons, it takes longer, you know,
Sure.
because it's 1 lesson a week, so it's 1 topic a week, so that we don't overload you with information. You just, you know, this is what we did this class. Here's your homework, practice, and then we'll see you next week, and we'll see how the reactivity is going. So 6 week is like, if you're just trying to address the reactivity, it's like the 6 week would be good, because 2 classes is heal, the next 2 is recall, and then you have 2 left. So that can be like wiggle room to see, okay, where's he at with his reactivity? Like what do we need to work on? Do we need to dive deeper into something? Or like, do we need to trust something else, right? The 9 week is good if you want, you know, the wiggle room, and then also more commands. Like, let's say we're at the 6 week, and after those 2 classes, he's good. Then you have 2 more classes to do, like more like other commands that you want to know, or if you want Yogi to know. Any questions?
Is there any way to like start with the 6 and then do the 9, or start with the 9 and then like do this 12, or you have to kind of commit all at once?
Yeah, you can buy more classes. So let's say
Okay.
you do the 6, and then, you know, because sometimes owners, they think like, ah, my dog would never be off leash, right? But then like once they see the 6
Exactly.
results,
Yeah.
whoa, like I want everything now. You can definitely,
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, I kind of want to, first see like how he takes to this whole like method of training, which I mean, again, it sounds like it's going to be very successful, but you never know. And so then if I feel like, oh, wow, like he's doing pretty well, picking up on things, like, let's just keep going, obviously I'm open to that, but I just, it's hard to commit like all at once for now.
so you can definitely choose a program and then either purchase another program or just buy like, I don't know, 3 more classes there, you
I
know,
see.
buy more classes for you can do that for sure. Um, any other questions about the in-person?
No, I mean, I guess I would imagine you'll talk about cost and stuff at some point,
Yeah.
just so I know what we're dealing with. Okay, yeah. Then I think other than that, logistically, I think I think I'm good for that.
Yeah, and then you know, we have board and train, daycare and train. I'm not sure if you're, because you were saying before you're not really interested in just dropping
At
them off.
least not now. Like, I feel like, well, I guess question. So like this kind of stuff, this like one-on-one, is it working on like socialization? I mean, I guess kind of, because we'll be at a like public busy park, but I mean, I don't know if those are two separate things or like they kind of overlap in terms of like the leash reactivity. Is that because he's not socialized, or is it like one in the same? You know what I mean? Like, I guess I don't know where one starts and one ends.
Yeah. Do you have any friends that own a dog that he has not met yet?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I could think of a few.
If not, we might be able to use one of our dogs here.
Hmm.
So um, you're probably gonna be more like in the 9 week then if you want to do more socialization. So it'd be like, we'll see how the reactivity. So it's the heel, reactivity, and then once that's then we can dive into socialization, right?
Right.
Um, in case you might have to muzzle train, or you will have to muzzle train Yogi, just in case. It's because it's like a liability thing, like because you're
Sure.
you're um how do I say this? We're a business and like we're doing something with another person, and then if something happens, then we're liable for it's our fault, you know, because we didn't, because we're
Sure.
hosting everything, right? So you have to start muscle training Yogi probably before we start, just so that when we get there, he's more comfortable with the muzzle, so it's not so much work to the point where we need to force condition the muzzle and make him accept it, right? Because that can get a little ugly. So there's a lot of videos, a lot of how to muzzle train your dog on YouTube. It's just a lot of food stuff, a lot of, if you're, you know, you put this on, you get this treat, or, you know, when you take it off, you get another treat and all these other things. But with the socialization, that can be taking place during your in-person program for sure. That can be a
Got
lesson.
it. Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay. Um, okay. So yes, then I guess yeah, overall, as of now, I'm not like a huge fan of like the board and train.
Yeah.
But maybe once I see that he's like more comfortable, I'll feel like better about something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, the board and train, everything is recorded. So every first command or all the first lessons and the first exposure to eHow is all recorded for you. You see how he's taking it. You see how he works through. Maybe he has, because eHow's a stressor, right? No one likes being disciplined, so we might see his stress response come out. So it could be anxiety, fear. He might get a little flighty. He might like want to get away from it, and you'll see how we work him through that, right? Some clients will think, some people say, oh, your eCall is making my dog anxious. Like, no, your dog was already anxious,
Yeah.
a response to the stressor, right? So why you want a muzzle conditions? Because a muzzle is a stressor as well, because it's uncomfortable. So you got the muzzle as a stressor one, e-collar stressor number two, and then a strange dog stressor number three. So if we can kind of work on the muzzle right? Because we're already working on the e-collar. If we can work on the muzzle, there could be more comfortability in this situation, right? So the day board and train and daycare and training, everything's filmed. Um, and then once all the commands are, all the videos have been finished, they're uploaded to YouTube, and that you can make, if you don't want people to see that, we can make it private so that when we send the link, it only goes to you. So the only ones that can see the video are the ones that we share it to only, right? So then you watch a video, you see how everything's going, and then depending on what program you choose for board and train, you get a lot of follow-up time. So let's say you do like the 2-week board and train program. You can schedule your follow-up after that 1 week, and then after the 2 week, you can schedule another follow-up and then another one later down the line. But everything is filmed. You're seeing everything on video. And then the follow-up is just us transferring everything to you. E-collar is very transferable. So for example, in an in-person session, if we're working with like a couple, partner number one will go first. Whoever goes first is going to do a lot of the hard work, right? After they're done, they hand off to the partner number two. Partner number two goes, and it's like they didn't have to do anything because all hard work's been done, right? Because when they press the number, or when they press the button on 30 and the other person presses the number on 30, it's still 30. There's no like, yeah, he listens to my husband because he's stronger. There's none of that.
Right.
Same number, just the same feeling. So the follow-up is to transfer everything to you, so that he sees, oh, mom's here to save me or whatever,
Right.
Oh, like it's the same thing with mom. Okay.
Right.
How it
He
goes.
definitely gets a lot more confidence with me than like anybody else. Like I feel like, yeah, like when he's walking on leash with me, he's like a lot more, I don't even know, like active than like if my brother takes him, because I think he like feels like he'll get away with more.
I see. Yeah. So, the pros and cons for board and training, daycare and training is that we get it done faster. We teach all things in one day, one session. Cons, the training is tied to us, but that's what the follow-ups are there for. Um, um, but yeah, any questions so far?
No.
Cool. I think I had the prices up here real quick. And you were wondering.
So the one-on-ones, I guess maybe like the 6-week for the starters.
And then I'll tell you the prices, but I also sent a follow-up email.
Awesome.
Like the programs you were interested in, the prices, the e-collar. I think that would be appropriate for Yogi, and then a few forms that will need to be signed before we begin the billing and the booking stuff.
True.
The 6-week in person at Oz Park or the facility is $1,000. At Oz Park or the facility is $1,350.
Where's the facility again?
Say it again.
Where's the facility again?
It's in Logan Square. The address.
Okay. That's right. Yeah.
Campbell. We're right by Maplewood, the brewery, and then right here is like, I forget the name of the theater. There's a movie theater right here. We're off Western.
Got it. Okay.
And then the 12-week is $1,725.
Got it. Okay.
And then for the
and then the e-collar is like your e-collar that we just borrow like during the sessions, or do we have to buy our own, or how does that work?
You'll be buying your own.
I see.
Sold separately, either through us or through Amazon. So
I got you.
If you want to buy it on your own, but you're more than welcome to purchase from us. It's the same price. There's no like personal preference if you want to go by it, because sometimes owners will like to buy from Amazon so they can get it themselves, fiddle around with it, and when it comes to first class, they have some more knowledge about it versus us.
Yeah, and the pet's kind of used to it a little bit too. Yeah.
And we can also drop it off too. There's no issue with that. We can drop it off as well, or if you can pick it up, or however you want to go about it.
Got it.
But yeah, we sell them as well.
Okay. No.
So other common questions about the e-collar is, will Yogi have to be wearing the e-collar all the time, or is there some point where I need it, I can take it off? So it's on when you need it. So if you're going to go for a walk, it's most likely going to be on because he's reactive and we can't predict what's going to happen on this walk, right? So let's say we're walking on like a busy street, and like a car crash happens right here, right? And then let's say he goes into flight mode. He's like, whoa, what was that? And he just bolts, and maybe you're not expecting, and the leash like slips out your hand, right? You need to override the flight mode. And words or treats are not going to override flight mode, because flight mode, when dogs are in flight mode, they're thinking kill or be killed, right?
You're
So
right.
they're gone. So you need to have something to override that mindset to bring him back to you. And that's where e-collar will come into play. Are you going to be
Sure.
that button a lot every day for the rest of your life? No, it's going to be there for emergencies. The more you use it now, the less you use it in the future. And then, like Jesse will say, like, I press that button like once every month, 2 times at the most. It's just
Sure.
there. In the home, if he's fine with no guests, nothing else, then he doesn't need it on, right? Let's say a guest is going to come over, you'd probably collar him up 30, 20 minutes prior, address whatever needs to be addressed once the guest enters. And then if you find that he's relaxed the whole rest of the night when the guest is still there and when they leave, then you can just take it off after he's settled, right? So it's on when you need it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Like
Another
he doesn't, like, you don't want to make him associate like, oh, I'll only be good when this is on and I can be bad when it's off type of thing. Like you want him to just not know that difference per se, I guess.
Yeah, that's another thing. Is how come when I take the e-collar off, like Yogi goes back to pulling me, right? It's called opportunistic behavior.
Mm,
An example we like to use is, do you drive on the highway?
yeah,
You go the speed limit?
not always.
And then what happens when you or other drivers see a squad car?
We like slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He calls the e-collar a cop on a collar. It's just, like I said, opportunistic behavior. If we can get away with something, we're going to get away with it. So it has nothing to do with the training, has nothing to do with the e-collar, has nothing to do with you doing the homework wrong or, whatever. It's just nature. Like I said, if we can get away with something, we're going to get away with it.
right.
And then, like
Right.
you said, like if you're trying to avoid that, being consistent with it, using every opportunity to use the e-collar, so there's never like, sometimes owners will like, yeah, I did it without the e-collar, but then it's like, well, what if he doesn't want to do it without the e-collar? How are you going to make it happen then? Like recall, or for example, if there's nothing to connect with you, no leash, nothing, how are you going to, like, what if he's like, nah, and then like, what are you going to do then, right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So like hypothetically, like again, I'm thinking of like a scenario, like we're walking and there's like a dog there. Like you would use an e-collar to like prevent or to like stop the behavior of him. Like, I mean, obviously this is part of the training, right? To stop that behavior for him to like lunge and want to bite that dog or whatever.
Yes.
That's part of the, yeah.
Yeah. So before we do that stuff, we need to create the heal command
Of
to have
course, yeah, yeah.
refer to, right? Because like a lot of trainers, or not a lot, some trainers will make the dog do bad behavior and then blast him on the e-collar, which is incorrect because he doesn't know what it means, right? We need to teach him what it means first, how it works, that he's in control of it. And like, the heal command is like where to go when you feel it, right? And it gives him something to refer to, like, okay, good, because it was out of position or whatever like that, right? Then we can dive into, passing dogs, because it's usually, because there's a spectrum. It's usually like human reactivity goes away first. Then it goes like calm dogs, bikes and scooters, and then reactive dogs, like other dogs who are reactive towards him. And
Sure.
when you turn a corner, there's a dog. Like that's like unpredictable. That's always going to be like a difficult situation there.
Right.
But like that's what like usually goes away, as we keep practicing.
Sure.
But yeah.
Okay.
Question.
Cool. No.
Oh, it does not.
No, I'm sorry.
I said, did that answer your question?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said any questions.
Oh.
No, it answered a question. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, any question?
No, I'm good.
So yeah, I don't need an answer right now of what program you
Sure.
want to go for. Like I said, I'll send you the links to programs that you were interested in and everything like that, the pricings, what a payment plan would look like, right? So it's for like example, 6 or like, it's half down, like for in-person, it's half down before the first class minus this consultation. So this consultation is going towards your program. And then the other half is split into 2. So like for the 6th week is before the 3rd class, and then before the 6th or 5th class, I think it was.
Got it.
So there's a payment plan.
And is Sunday the only day for in-person, or is there like what's the flexibility with the days, or it just depends on the schedule?
Yeah, it depends on like your schedule and my schedule. We're opening up a new day Saturdays now for me. But yeah, it just depends on like the schedule, like what, you give us your schedule and we work with your schedule and we'll make something work out.
Come up. Yeah, sure. With the plan. Okay.
Anything else?
No, that sounds good.
And then 25 pounds, 10 months. Let me see here. In person. Okay. If there's nothing else, or if a question comes up while you're thinking about what you would like to do with Yogi, feel free to send me an email and I'll answer your question. Other than that, keep an eye out for a follow-up email
Awesome. Yeah.
either tomorrow or the following day. It goes consultation, signing the agreements and everything, billing and then booking, and then that's when we get started and everything. And then if you would want to switch to a flat collar, so getting rid of the harness and getting a flat collar with a regular leash. So because if we stick with the harness, it's like you're telling him to not pull, but then the harness is telling him to pull, and it's like he doesn't know what to do. It's kind of confusing for dogs to go about it that way.
I see.
So
in general, it sounds like you guys for just forget the e-collar, but like you don't really think harnesses are like the best thing in terms of walking like dogs, it sounds like.
No, I mean, here and there we'll get a dog who.
That's so interesting because it's like so not what you read, you know what I mean? Like when you just read up on like how to walk your dog or whatever, like it's like the total opposite.
Yeah, it's unrealistic, it's also, the positive only, the ones who like force positive only on dog owners. It's like, you get them started like, for reactivity when they do food only. It's owners get unmotivated because it's like either it takes years to solve or it's never going to work, or like they get unmotivated so they just give up or anything like that. So with e-collar, like like I said, we'll get clients who are like, wow, I want to learn more because the success they see right away. But it's just doing the homework, practicing what we tell you to practice, how we tell you to practice. And then the harnesses, are used in certain situations if you want to create pulling, or if you need your dog to pull something like a wagon or a sled or anything like that. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Cool. Trying to see if I missed anything. I think that's all. Like I said, if you have any other questions, send me an email and I'll answer them, and keep an eye out for that follow-up email. But and then how do you pronounce your name?
Joya.
Oh yeah. All right, Joya. Again, if nothing else, it was nice speaking with you. Nice.
Yeah, you too.
meeting Yogi for a little
briefly as he growled at you.
yeah, as he but yeah, it was nice speaking to you. And if there's nothing else, I'll hear from you soon, or you'll
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, both, I guess. All right. Thank you for your time.
Of course. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.